Today we have actually positive story, a success story that we want to share with you. I'm really excited to share this story. So anyway, welcome, and let me know if you can hear me. Let me know. My name is Petra Deeter for people that are new here, and today I have with me a father who was previously alienated from his children, who have now successfully reunited with his children. So I want to welcome Alan. Hi, Alan. Thank you so much for being here today. Really
Yeah, thank
appreciate
you.
you coming to share your story. I know that a lot of parents will have questions. So for parents, if you guys have any questions, please let us know in the comment. Hi, Joshua. Thank you so much for letting me know that you can hear me. Thank you so much, because I never quite know, if there's any technical problem. So really appreciate that. So Alan, thank you so much for being here. Let's start with a little bit of a background story. Yeah, so the situation with you, the alienator is your ex-spouse, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay, so that's just to be clear with parents out there, is that I'm not trying to make it a stereotype situation. We all know that alienators are a lot of the time are the ex-spouse or the ex-partner, but sometimes it doesn't have to be. Sometimes it could be grandparents, it could be complete strangers. So I'm not trying to say that this is the only situation. With Alan's situation, the alienator was an ex-spouse. So let's go back a little bit about the history, because a lot of the time parents don't realize this, that the situation started way before, sometimes even before your children were born. So let's talk about your relationship, what was it like, when you first met her? I assume this is a her. And was there any sign back there that could, now that you look back, that you could potentially have seen something?
Yeah, there was a lot of red flags but I didn't even know what a narcissist was. I didn't have a clue what parent alienation was. I'd seen grandparent alienation, not through myself. Well, I'd seen it myself, but through a married-in family member, and I'd seen the damage that had done, but I didn't know anything about it. And I had red flags where the lies would come out, her inability to hold relationships, moving jobs constantly, a year in a job was doing well, sort of thing. And so, but I didn't put the connection together, because I'd never realized that these are all big traits of a narcissist. Looking back now, yeah, there was red flags all the time. But at the time, it was just sort of, yeah, my head was down trying to just, I can help her, I can do this, and we'll get there, and we just got to pay this off. And it's just sort of always trying to fix things, because I'm a bit of a fixer, and never really looked at the big picture of what the actual problem was.
Okay, so let's break it down a little bit more. So you mentioned that you have seen parental alienation before in some other people, but you saw that, but you didn't know that that's parental alienation. You just seen what a lot of people know, which is they seen the behaviors and they seen stuff going on, right? Could you
Yeah,
talk a little bit more about what you have seen before?
yeah. It,
Yeah.
it was a grandparent to my sister's husband, and she would undermine the mother all the time. And if the mother put the children in their room for a timeout or whatever was going on, grandma had given them a phone, and she would turn up with some takeaway foods at the window, or say, sneak out the window and we'll go get something to eat, and things like that. And all those undermining tactics really destroyed that relationship. There was one child in particular that they did it with. Out of all of them, it was their favorite. And he's really got some mental issues, actually, that he works with today. And this is going back when he's nearly the same age as me. So he's got a lot of issues. And I saw that growing up, but I just thought, well, that's rude. And my dad would say to me, you don't undermine, that's that's a negative trait, sort of thing. But there was no talk of parent alienation or grandparent alienation. And it destroyed. He moved out from his mum quite early, I think around about 14, and moved in with his grandparents. And they didn't want the other grandkids; they just wanted that one. And yeah, it was really weird. But it sort of wasn't my business and it didn't really compute. But now I look back, I know exactly what it was and what all the signs were. But that's hindsight's a
Right.
great thing.
Right, and that, even though you saw that, it didn't give you any insight into help you with your relationship. And unfortunately, this is a very common thing, is that a lot of people have seen this. We all have seen it in someone, you know, friends, families, and all that, you know. And hi, Dad, thank you so much for commenting that. Thank you so much. But yeah, like we just it doesn't help us in any way because we don't have a way of computing it toward anything, right? Because there's such a lack of awareness out there. So for example, like we probably all have seen the term bully, right? So if we've seen bully, we would be able to say, oh, that's bully, and we would know it, right? But parental alienation, because there's such a lack of awareness that we've seen it and we don't know what it is, and we just go, oh, it's just a one-off thing. And it's not a well recognized situation, or right? So you can't use it. So okay, so now let's go back to your situation. You met her, and then you've seen a lot of different things that indicate a troubled relationship. It seemed from what you talk about, right? It seems that she and she's and you saw yourself as a savior. You saw yourself as somebody that could help her, that she needed you, right?
Yep.
Which is something that's really common, and actually it's saying something about you as a child. There's something in your childhood that is indicative of this. It leads to this because you then have this savior characteristic, which is also very common in alienated parents. I wonder how many of you out there watching this see yourself having these traits where you, when you look back at your relationship with the alienators, you tend to see that alienators had a lot of these problems, and you see yourself as a savior. And yeah. So John in the chat room said he can relate. Yeah, and actually the same with my situation. I saw myself as, you know, like, and even so you see the problem in the relationship, and you see potential problem, but you think that I can't give up because I'm not the giving up type, right? Because you think relationship require work, and you can't differentiate between the right kind of work and the wrong kind of work, right?
You got it. Yep. And also the other thing is, like, the narcissist is full of all the charm and things like that. And I've never experienced someone who doesn't feel love, like doesn't understand really what love is. So to me, the coldness, it was just like, this doesn't compute. How can someone be so cold one minute and just so warm the next, sort of thing? And it just, that baffled me, but I just didn't have any answers. And back then the internet wasn't as, say, full of as much information and as easy to, but even then I didn't know what to search because I didn't know what it was going on. However, I did notice one of the biggest flags I saw very early on was her parents and how they literally alienated children in their own home. Not in a big way, but it was more of a control thing. It wasn't parent alienation at all, but it was more controlling one parent. Don't tell this parent about this. And the manipulation was definitely there. And I talked to her about that before we married, and she said, yeah, no, that's not me. No, that's, yeah, I don't want to do that. But she went right down that road. And when we were still together, she was literally alienating me slowly, but just subtly, I should say, with the kids while we were still together. And I remember thinking, even if we're apart, even if we're together, she's going to undermine me as their dad, and they're not going to listen to me anyway. And so that was a early on trait. I thought I'd addressed it, but narcissists, they just make it up as they go. So she just lied, and I believed it. Why wouldn't I? It's the person you're married to, it's the person you love, and they take advantage of that.
Right. So I think what you're pointing out, one of the situation with her is that it seemed like she herself, growing up in an environment where conditional love was what she was known, and that was the only thing that she was known. Because parental alienation is essentially a form of a form of conditional love, not unconditional love.
Yeah.
So they grew up only know this form of love of manipulation and control, and also thinking that this limiting belief that there's only a limited amount of love, it seems, right? And if you allow someone to love somebody else too much, then they will love you less somehow, right? So
Yeah.
so her parents feel like like they have to play around with the kids, and in order for them to love them more. Like love is something that you have to manipulate and you have to manage somehow, right? And it's very common. You can see this in alienators, almost like I don't like the term narcissistic because it's sometimes misused and overused. But there's certain characteristic and behaviors, and like one of the biggest thing in alienators is that they don't they don't know what unconditional love is. They don't know it themselves, and so they can't give it to the children, and they can't give it to you.
Yeah.
And we see these as red flags, but we don't recognize it. We saw these all these warning signs, but we don't recognize it. So and I'm seeing comments and question in the chat room. Thank you. I saw Caesar said, "Hey Randy." Jamie said, "When what do you do when the favorite parents council has made it clear he's despised against targeted parent and the court keeps delaying?" I can hear now. I don't understand your question, Jamie. You're saying that the alienators lawyers said that they don't like you. I mean, you don't expect the alienators lawyer to like you, though, do you? I assume that I'm misreading this question. So if you don't mind, please clarify that. That said, I can see my stepson feeling like he is his mom's regulator, and that is his job to keep her sane. Oh my God, this is so true. I saw myself as the parent of my mother, the alienator. And I interviewed so many adult children, and they feel responsible for the well-being and the mental wellness of the alienators. And that's what alienators do, is they play this victim role so that the children feel responsible and feel like, oh, it's a multiple play. Actually, there's a power play where they go, oh, if you don't behave certain ways, then I'm going to withdraw love from you. And then there's the other play where they play the victim at the same time. It's like, oh, if you don't love me, or if you don't give up the other parent, I'm going to be so hurt, kind of thing. So yeah, definitely. I saw Rena said, I wonder, I'm sorry, go ahead, Alan.
I was going to say that's exactly where my youngest daughter is right now. She totally knows what her mum is doing. She totally understands. I actually went and had dinner with her last night. It was lovely. And we were talking about it a little bit the other day. And she said, but I need to fix her, Dad. That's my job. There's no one else that can do it. I know I have a strong enough relationship to fix her. And I know she genuinely believes that. And I know it's her path that she needs to work it out. So look, I'm here when you need me, and et cetera, as support, because she needs to work that out for herself. And yep, that's exactly where my younger daughter is. My oldest, she's already been there, and she's worked out, nah, this isn't going to change. She's just going to bring me down with her.
Yeah, that's a problem for me, is I felt like, oh my God, my dad left us, abandoned us. So I'm the only one that left. Poor my mother, she's the victim. I have to take care of her. I have to make sure she's okay. And even when she's unreasonable, I still feel like, oh, my poor mother, gosh, just think about everything that she will have gone through. So even if she's being unreasonable, it's okay. I'm going to be responsible and take care of her anyway. And I'll do things that even though I know that's wrong, but I want to make sure she's happy. So, okay. So you saw the sign. Okay. So now you have children. How many children do you have?
I have two daughters.
Two daughters. Okay.
With the alienator, and I have a stepson with my partner now.
Okay, so you have two daughters with the alienators, and then the stepson is later, right? That's later when you I assume in the new relationship.
Yep,
Okay,
that's right.
so then when did the alienating behaviors with the children started? You mentioned earlier that you saw that it happened even when you guys were still together.
Yeah. So the seeds were being planted back then about undermining dad and, oh, it's just stupid. That's a dumb idea. Oh, he has dumb ideas. Then she met someone else, had an affair, and moved out and left me with the kids. And still not having no idea of what she was capable of or anything, I said, let's do a 50-50 custody agreement. I got really bad advice from my lawyer, who said in New Zealand they try and get you to do it out of court, an agreement out of court. And it just frees up the court system a bit more. And so I did that, and that was the number one mistake I made. When we did a 50-50 agreement, and then I met my new partner probably 3 months later, and we've been together ever since. So that's 9 years ago. The agreement that we had doesn't hold up in court, and that's the problem. And the advice I got was, no, it's fine, because you've both signed it, you've both agreed to it, you've got witnesses, that's great. And when the children, when I met my partner, everything was all right until I was happy. And then she could not handle my happiness. And the only control that she had was the girls, my daughters. So she got advice. She found out that the agreement that we had wasn't worth the paper it was written on. And she started alienating me from my kids by just the put downs. And the way she did it was she put me down and that I was stupid and things like that. But she would say that my girlfriend, I'm with now, is trying to ruin your relationship with her, and it hurts her, and using all those emotional tools on the children. And so then it destroyed that relationship between them two, which then created a conflict with me in the middle. And then when the eldest turned 13, she just up and left and went to live with her mum. And I was cut off from everything. And I went to the police, I went to a lawyer. It's either break yourself in court, but all the children would do at this age, even though it's in New Zealand, it's that they can't choose until they're 16. They will ask where they want to live. They won't go against their mother. So you'll spend all that money and you will be told no. And so you may get visitation every a few hours here and there, but basically it's where the kids want to be, and you're not going to get much. And so that was it. She was gone. I lost total contact with her. The younger one stayed with me and my partner for another year, and then she started. I came in one night, and I have to say it was probably one of the most frightening things I've ever seen. And there was a note in her bedroom. Window was open. It was total cliche. The wind was blowing the curtains, and her mum had turned up, picked her up, and they'd gone. And then her mum phoned me up and said that she'd run away from home, and she just happened to find her. And my daughter did come back after that a couple more times, but that was pretty much, that was the end. And I still didn't know what parent alienation was. I didn't know what narcissism was. I had no idea. I just was beside myself with frustration, confusion, lost control. And I'm a great dad. When my ex-wife was, when we were bringing up our girls and they were young, I remember them going off to school, and I had to say, hey, they want to kiss and you're brushing it off. Give them a kiss. And in the weekends, her idea of an activity together was watch one of her programs, and they can sit with her while she watches it. Whereas me and my girls, we used to do lots of things together, and I'll be building around the house. So I'd give them projects to build and stuff like that. So we had a great bond and a relationship, and that was just gone. But what I do understand now is that was the foundations of getting them back, and all that hard work at the beginning. So I totally forgot where I was going with the question now.
No, that's fine. No, it's great. We can go back and break down a little bit more. You just share a lot, and that's great, and I love it. Thank you so much. I want to just pick up some comment here. So, Raina said, I wonder how many alienators are here claiming to be victims. Unfortunately, quite a lot. I have seen it. I've seen situations where even people that claim to be advocates for targeted parents who turn out to be alienators. It's actually quite common. And I also seen targeted parents or alienated parents who accidentally also does parental alienation behaviors. So it can happen in sort of a wide spectrum. Rena said, I miss my kids, and that's the thing. That's a heartbreaking thing, is that you truly are loving parents. You want your children, you love your children, you miss your children, and yet there's no reason why you can't have your children, and yet and your children could benefit from having your love in their life, and yet they're being removed from this. Is really tragic.
If I can just expand on one of the things that you said, and that is, a lot of alienated parents become alienators. And I have to say, when my eldest came home, the temptation there to destroy that relationship between her and her mother was extremely high. And it took control to go, it's her mum. I'm only just as bad as her if I do it back to her. Because the kids don't understand, and they don't. What I did do was turn around and make conscious choices. I don't put her mum down, and I don't want anything to do with her mum, and her mum's not allowed in our home because she's done some really horrible things, and she's also stolen from us and things like that. Lots of money and valuables. So we don't allow it. And I said, look, these are our rules, but if you ever want to see your mum, you just go. You don't have to ask my permission. And it was hard because she did. And she went back, and then the alienation started again. But it's what I've worked out over time. It's their path. They need to work it out. But if we just keep giving them support, love, and understanding, they work it out for themselves. And then they learn how to cope with living with a narcissistic parent. That's how I found it anyway. But I found what you said, I found it very tempting to do it. Very tempting.
Yeah, you have so much patience, really. Yeah.
I've had to.
Yeah. So Victoria said, good morning from Australia. So Alan here is calling from New Zealand. So you guys are sort of neighbors. Yeah, sort of. Reina said, my ex-mother-in-law bought my 14 years old a car after court went in their favor. Yeah, bribery is also another form of alienation. That's what alienators will try to do to get the children in their favor. And unfortunately, it does happen. Nihan said, can you talk about how you reunited? Yes, we will definitely talk about it more. Karen said that is a frightening thought. I'm not sure what this was referring to. I apologize because we've gone past that point in time now. Ross said, I resonate with much of this. I haven't seen my son since 2015. So we're talking about 7 years. Oh my God. I have a great relationship with my other 3 children, but somehow this cruel world. My baby has no daddy. My story is so complicated because my parents are involved as pathological gatekeepers and team up with other family members and his alienating mother. Our story is horrible. I'm so sorry. And that's the thing. Alienators don't do this by themselves. They have support, and unfortunately, they will recruit your family, your friends, your co-workers. They are really great at recruiting, what we would call flying monkeys in their campaign of alienation, unfortunately. And people will fall for that because alienators are very good at telling this false narrative. They're good at repeating this false narrative. They have no shame in blatantly making up this false story, and they have no shame about it. And that's the thing is, you on the other hand, probably have so much empathy that you want to take the high road, so you don't want to do the same thing. You don't want to create false allegation on them. You don't want to, argue. You just feel like, well, if I just stick to doing the right thing. And then, so unfortunately, in the meanwhile, the lies will just keep propagating and spreading, and people fall for it. And sometimes because they're naive, sometimes because they are vindictive themselves, sometimes, whatever. There's so many reasons. And sometimes it's because they think, well, if I choose between the two, well, if the kids go to this side, I probably can get the kids more, like especially grandparents. Sometimes will go against our children because they think that if they help the ex-in-law, they might end up getting the children more than if they give, whatever the reason is. Some of the most crazy, stupid reasons. But
Yep.
yeah, it's really horrible. So I wanted to break down, you gave a really big story, so I want to break down a little bit more. So, okay, it seemed like she was not a very loving mother in the first place. She was not very committed. So really, it's not the kids that she really want, because you said, she cheated on you and then she left you with the kids at the beginning.
No, left me with the kids. Yeah.
Yeah. So at the beginning, she actually didn't, she didn't even care about the kids. The kids are not really, it's not like, oh, and this is a confusion that a lot of people, especially flying monkeys and the public, are so, it's a misconception, is when they see the alienators fighting to get the kids, they think it's because of love. No, it's not because of that. And the whole thing blew up when you end up in a new relationship. Yep. When she could see that, and she didn't want you. She cheated on you, she left you, but she didn't want you to be happy. I don't want you, but nobody can have you either. Right? So this is not love. This is totally control. You were a piece of property that she doesn't want, but nobody can touch it.
Yep.
That's what it is. And the kids is now a convenient weapon, because that's the only control she has left of you. Yep. She can't control you because you guys are no longer married. So the only thing that they can have left to control you is your kids. And that is what alienators do, is the kids are now just a weapon, just a tool in controlling you. And their ultimate goal is to harm you. Has nothing to do with their love with the children. So she's, and clearly she's jealous. So because she putting down your new partner, your girlfriend, and making her the bad thing, making her the problem, right? So she clearly is insecure about herself. And somehow she thinks that if she put your girlfriend down, then that will make her somehow better. So so the alienating behavior is by destroying your girlfriend. And now you're the bad guy that's being caught in the middle.
Yep.
And so you saw this. It didn't just happen overnight. You saw this all along as this was happening, right?
Yep.
Because at what point did your daughter leave?
She left at the age of 13.
But so the divorce happened when?
She was 10. Okay,
so there's 3 years period.
Yeah.
That less than 3 months, because you met your girlfriend 3 months after the divorce. So, there's like almost 3 years period that you see this behavior. It's not something that you didn't. And this is a problem, is a lot of targeted parents see this. And we don't recognize what it is, and two, we don't know what to do with it, right? So what did you do when you see this behavior, when she put your girlfriend down and creating problem? What did you do during that time?
Back then, I was just frustrated. I'd justify, like, for example, there'd be accusations made and I'd prove them wrong. For example, with one of my daughters, the mother bought them phones. That was the first thing she bought when she got the 50-50, we got 50-50 custody. They had a phone each. She controlled the phone, and that was her tool. That was her tool of controlling the kids when they were at my house. And she, and what she did was she got another phone and she changed my name in my daughter's phone to Dad, and she sent my daughter messages from that phone saying you're a whore and I hate you and things like that. And she was 10 at that stage, and in the middle of the night. And my daughter
I'm
would get
sorry.
them.
I'm sorry. I think I got a bit confused. Could you clarify again? She got a
Yep.
phone for your daughter, and then
And then
she
another
got,
spare phone and a spare phone, right?
and then
So
what did she do with that?
and she changed the phone number of my daughter's phone for Dad to the spare phone. So she could ring the spare phone and it would say Dad, and then she'd write, "You're a whore and I hate you and you need to get
So
out of your dad's
she
life."
pretending that you were texting your daughter
Yes,
with the
yes,
spare phone
with the spare phone.
on the contact list of your daughter. She
Yeah.
changed
So
that to be, so she pretending to be you and
yeah,
texting this message to your daughter, calling your
yeah,
daughter that she's a,
yeah,
oh my
yeah,
God,
yeah.
at 10
And
years old.
now then she would say, delete the message, delete it, just get rid of it. So my daughter would do what Mum said and delete it. She's full of tears. The message is gone. She'd go in the next night and change the phone number back to my phone number, so she wouldn't get caught. Now my daughter brought it up with me and she said, "Dad, why are you messaging me these messages? In fact, Dad, I know it's not you, it's her," implying that it was my girlfriend in the middle of the night messaging my daughter on my phone all these horrible things to try and break that relationship up. And this is how she got in there at the start, to really destroy that relationship.
Oh my
And
God.
and so then I had to go through my phone supply at my accounts and get print offs to show that no messages ever went. And I had to phone Apple and get them to prove that no messages through Messenger went through my phone at those within the parameters that she said she received the messages, because she didn't have the messages there anymore because Mum said delete them. So she'd covered it back. So I proved to my daughter that they never came from me, but the element of doubt had already been put in her mind from her mother, and the hurtness and everything else. So then the mother could use that to manipulate the relationship, or escalate it, I should say, faster. And that's how it really, that was the eye opener for me. Like, wow, this is real, this is serious, this is disgraceful. What parent does this? And I remember telling people about it, and then friends, and they'd be, no one would do that, as in, that's not true, because it's so outrageous. It's, who would do that? And unless you have suffered with PA or dealt with a narcissist, I don't think you do get it. I don't think you can comprehend it. Unfortunately, those who have been with a narcissist or suffered PA, yeah, they get it. Yep, they would do that.
Yeah, the
That's,
extent that the alienators will go through in order to
yeah,
destroy your relationship with your children. I
yeah,
mean, talking about how blatant that is.
yeah.
Yeah,
So now
sorry.
my daughter does know. Well, I've proved that it didn't come from my phone. And then I said, look, and I contacted the police too to see if there was anything, there was nothing they could do. And I said, I've got a letter from all three though: Apple, from my supplier, and from the police. And they all came up with the same verdict. The only way that this could be done is someone who has access to your daughter's phone, and they literally listed it off. And that's the only way. And then she looked at me and she read the letters and she went, it was Mum. And I said, that's the conclusion everyone else has come to, sweetie. And that's what I do too. And I never spoke about it again, because it's her mum. I don't want to put her mum down. And I was trying to take the high road, and well, I did. And whereas I should have been more aware of the damage that was actually being done and was going to be done from that start. And it got worse and worse from there. And so she knew, but she's now trying to fix her mum. So
Yeah, that's the problem is, and in some way you were lucky that the kids actually brought it up to you so that you have the opportunity to do something about it. But a lot of the time you don't even know, because your daughter could be just so distraught and then just take off, and you'll never even know any of this. And the truth is, you actually may not even know everything that was going on. Really, because sometimes the kids would just assume this is the fact and they won't even bring it up at all. And that's the problem, is a lot of parents have no idea what's going on. But I wanted to point out is that if you do find something, so like with this situation, yeah, definitely defending your truth is important. But a lot of the time, alienated parents don't realize that there's a lot more that you need to do. You need to defend your truth. That's important. It's also very important not to attack the alienators in front of the kids. That's also important. But there's all other aspect of it, including how do you deal with your children? How do you build critical thinking into your children? How do you really empower your relationship with your children? Because it's so critical now. How do you rebuild that image? Because this is not an intellectual side of it. So your daughter get it. She got it that it is not you. But that's intellectually, logically, but that's not all of it. The emotional side of it is a lot deeper than that. And even though you can say it in your head, you feel differently. And a lot of the time, targeted parents are so focused on defending the truth that they forget that there's a whole emotional part of it and you also don't know how to deal with it too. So like that is the biggest thing, is to build that emotional fortress to protect your children. That is so much harder and so much bigger. So that part of it that a lot of parents don't know. So you see all this sign and you do nothing about it. And the best you could do is say, oh no, I didn't do that. And maybe you show proof to it. But all that damage that their children are experiencing and everything else that they are about to experience that you don't even see coming, and everything else that they have experienced that you don't know. So there's all of that. So there's critical thinking and three-dimensional relationship building that you need to build on that, and then emotional healing for your children that needed. And then there's legal side of it, how do you fight that in court? And then this other aspect of it, how do you build a network of support around your children so that your children can so that it can protect your relationship. And then the relationship with other people, school, friends, all that you need to rebuild as well. So there's a lot that targeted parents have to do, but very often we don't know what we're looking at, so we don't do anything about it. So you did something good, you prove it to your children, but it was not enough, because then she eventually just took off.
Yeah. Yep.
So the oldest one took off, and you had no contact, even though you went to court and you still had some visitation.
I didn't even get to court because it was months and months away. I went to my lawyer and she turned around and said, because your agreement isn't through the courts, it's not worth anything. And if you go through the courts, they're going to ask the kids where they want to stay. And she turned around and said, I can tell you right now, with the situation you're in, they're not going to stay with you.
So your lawyer actually already gave up before you don't even have a chance. Your lawyer already tell you to not do anything. Your lawyer's already gave up on you.
Sorry, the lawyer, basically the lawyer, you could go and fight it, but the kids in New Zealand, they get to choose. They ask them where they want to be, and basically that's where they go with. And in an alienation case, because you don't have an agreement, and she will make up all the lies and all the rest of it. He said, you're going to be, but she said, sorry, you're going to be there for a long time. And they'll ask the kids at the end of the day where they want to be. And they'll say with their mum, because they know, the kids know that they're not going to see that, they're not going to see their mum at all, because their mum will cut them off. And was years on, after I've managed to beat the alienator at their own game, that's true. That's exactly, my daughter's told me that's exactly why they didn't go, because mum was just cut off her love.
So you had no contact with your daughter, your older one. So the younger one is still doing 50-50?
Yep.
So,
She's not now, but
right. No, back then.
Back then, yeah, she was. Yep.
Imagine the pressure that she was experiencing.
Immense. And then she was also told to start stealing family heirlooms from our house. I caught her one day So my grandfather's war medals, things like that, which had nothing to do with my ex. I don't understand it. I think my ex actually set her up to be caught. And of course, and then that was the day that she never came back. And so we had a talk. My partner and I talked to her about it and said, you know, stealing is not a healthy thing. And we talked to her about it, and we knew we should have been put up to it. We knew by who. But I think the guilt that she had of being caught stealing from us in herself made it she wasn't coming back. And so I dropped her back at her mum's the end of that her week, and after that she said, don't pick me up, and that was it. And then I didn't hear from her for a few years as well.
And that's the thing, right, is that they will build up this alienation campaign, but they push for that trigger point. And that trigger point is usually something that caused some kind of conflict with you. And sometimes it could be really minor, but it just seemed to blow up out of proportion, right? So in your case, it was the kid stealing stuff, and then for you to be caught. Some other time, it's children just get so rude to the point that parents will react and then maybe argue with the kids, or sometimes parents will take the phone away because the kids will misbehave or whatever, right? So they are pushing for this trigger point. And a lot of the time, parents will think that that's the beginning of parental alienation. But in fact, it happened way before. Like there's that whole campaign that built up to that point. And that trigger point, the thing is, if you misassign that and you think that's the cause of it, you're gonna go back and keep revisiting and said, oh, I shouldn't have taken the phone away, and if I just give her the phone, that will fix the problem. No, that's the problem, because if you misattribute the reason, then you're not going to fix the problem properly. You need to recognize this whole campaign and the cause of it and what kind of things are going on for you to be able to fix it. Because if you think that, oh, it's because, that day you caught your child and therefore, you were being tough with her about her stealing, or, if some parents take their phone away and then, oh, I should have taken the phone away, it's my fault, I took the phone away. No, it's none of those things. It's this whole campaign here. And if you recognize that, that is so important. Okay, so now you lost both of your daughters at that point in time.
Yep. So at that stage, I contacted their school and to see if and went and spoke to the school counsellor, explained the situation, and they said, "Oh, we'll have nothing to do with it. They didn't want anything to, didn't want to know, didn't want to do anything." But he said, "Here's a phone number of a child psychologist. Give her a call. She's very good. She deals with this quite a bit." And so I went and saw her and explained what had happened, etc. And she turned around and said to me, "Yep, unfortunately, this is very common." She still didn't put a name on it, and I still didn't know what was going on. And she said, "What I recommend you do is write letters to your daughters." And I said, and when do they come back, sort of thing? And she goes, "That's up to them." She said, that's it. And basically that was it. However, I was quite frustrated when I left there. And she talked about control and things like that. She didn't bring up the word narcissist. No, I think she did actually. I apologize. I think she said something about narcissistic behaviors or something like that. So I didn't even know what it meant. I've never heard of it. And so I asked my partner and she explained what it was. And then I started Googling it and I learned more. And I got this questionnaire thing up that said, how many of these traits does your ex show, or things like that? You only need 5 and you're a narcissist. She did the entire sheet. And I was like, okay, right. So now I can put a name on what this behavior is. And then while I was researching about the narcissism, a thing about parent alienation came up. Now, as soon as I saw the word parent alienation, it made sense. It's like, okay, I'm a parent and I've been alienated. And that's how I found out. And then I just keep researching, reading, watching videos, and learning more and more about the two. And that's when I started to get more control back in my life. The letters, she said to send, I literally went home and I started writing letters to my daughters. And I sent letters every week to each of them. And I took a photo of each letter and I sent that photo to their email, an email address that I'd created for them. The older one's seen those, that has access to that email address now. She's 20 now, and she's and she's through the whole process. The young one's still in there, knows what's going on, but just trying to fix her mum. So that information I still keep to myself. But when she's ready, I believe she's ready, I'll show her that. But I know they got the letters, and I know most of the letters, I would say. And my eldest said she used to tell her mum that, oh, that's just stupid, because she said, I know it's the only way to keep her happy is to put you down. And she was like, I'm really sorry, Dad. I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. You needed to do what you needed to do to keep safe. And that's fine with me. And she said she used to hide the letters in her bedroom under her bottom drawer. And that's where she would keep them all. But yeah.
So that's, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, that was a Karen.
Okay, so you've done two very important things, actually three important things. And I really wanted to go back and really walk through it a bit. But before we get to that, so you got these several years to the point that you finally recognize the term in narcissistic and parental alienation. Before that, how did you cope? And did you contact your ex and like swearing at her during that time, try to contact your kids? You know, what did you do during that time? How did you survive that period to the point where you finally recognize this term?
Yeah. So I used to try and justify with reason with the narcissist, with my ex. You know, this is not reasonable, blah, blah, blah. Big, long emails. I didn't get into the abusive behavior. I grew up in that sort of arena, and I really wanted to change myself and not be that person. And my dad, he was an advocate for that too. He changed his behaviors, and he taught me to change mine, because that's what I'd learned from him. So I don't go down that road. I chose not to. But I did try and use the voice of reason. I mean, seriously, this is not reasonable. And they have two parents. We are both 50-50, you know. At that stage, I didn't know what a narcissist was, and they can't see that. They don't understand. They can't even comprehend it. So I was just getting more frustrated and upset, and it was all internal, to the point where I was feeling quite sick, but I didn't know how to.
So when you email her these long emails and trying to reason with her and say, hey, you know, don't do this, you know, let the kids, you know, love both of us and that kind of thing. What was her response? Did she respond to you?
So anything where she was unreasonable wasn't responded to. And then she would come up with the most pathetic reasons for why she's done that. And then they don't want to see you, they don't feel safe. All these key lines that she would use to justify her actions. And so she wouldn't see reason. And then she'd just gaslight me if we ever spoke on the phone. And that's when I was getting frustrated. So that's why I contacted the school. I thought I need professional help here. And then I saw the counsellor. And she really, to be honest, it was probably the best $150 I ever spent, because she really sent me on the right path. It's about control. And from there on, I started learning everything myself, of how to best overcome it.
Okay, thank you. So that was really important, is that a lot of parents don't realize that you cannot just work it out with the alienators. It doesn't work, because they will not, they don't function at the same level as you. They are blatantly out there playing dirty while you're trying to take the high road, doing the right thing, and you think that, oh, there's no way that someone would just go out of their way doing this thing so blatantly, right? You still have this good heart, that you still believe in good things in people. And so a lot of the time, parents will try to waste so much time. And then so what the alienators will do, some of the things that they will do is they will gaslight you. So, make it sound like, you're just imagining things and you're wrong, and the reason that you're thinking are completely different and things didn't happen the way you thought, and, or they will project. So, everything that they do, they will claim that you do it. So, they will placing all the blames on you, or they will do smoke and mirrors. So instead of accepting the responsibility of what they have done, they will just blow things out of proportion and embellishing the fact, and then distract you with something that has nothing to do with the issue at hand. So they're doing all these sort of things, and they will not. And so that's the thing, is a lot of you, I know a lot of targeted parents out there are still wasting time trying to work things out with the alienators. And sometimes the alienators will play nice for a day or for a moment to trick you into agreeing something, and then you will, and appealing to the good side of you, the kindness of you. So they will go in and they will suddenly one day be nice, or and you thought, okay, this is a hope, I can work it out with them, maybe if I just do this one thing that they ask, or if I just agree to this thing. And then you're now trapped in for a big commitment that's completely wrong for you. So it's so important for you to recognize you can't work with these people. They don't listen to reasons. They don't listen to logic. They don't operate at the level of sensible human behaviors. They really just blatantly out there to destroy you and the children. So when you do, and the reason I want to emphasize on this, because when you do interact with them, you need to keep that in mind, is that your interaction with the alienator should be keep at the very minimum, only at the bare minimum of what you have to. That means that, don't go in and try to reason with them. Don't try to justify your behaviors, because they're not going to listen to you. You don't have to go, oh, the reason I'm, like, no, I didn't do, none of that is relevant. You have to think about, okay, what do I have to communicate with the alienator? What do I have to? And then, what does it mean? Like, am I going to quote, and then this is going to be read a certain way? And keep in mind that when you go to court, the court's not gonna sit there and read every communication that you have. Sometimes parents will go to court with, like, a library of these text messages and emails, and it's overwhelming, and then the judge won't read it, and then the judge will just go, well, you guys are full of drama. And then now the judge will blame both of you, instead of recognizing the person who is the true trouble. So it's very important for you to recognize what the alienator is, and what can and what cannot work, to not waste your time. So with Alan, he tried to work it out with the alienators, and it didn't do anything. And just like a lot of us have experienced, it does nothing when you're trying to work things out with the alienators. So now you did the next thing, is that you self-educate, you seek help, and then you find some information, and then you did a lot more self-education. You watched videos, you read, all this stuff. And this is so important. You have to be.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I thought you'd finish. Sorry, Petra. When I did my self-education, it was my partner turned around, and she said to me, when she messages you, and gaslights you, she said, don't reply. If it needs a reply, it's yes or no. And that took probably a good 6 months for me to really, but she's pressing the buttons. And they know all the buttons to press to get you riled up. And just, oh, look, I could just reply. So what I used to do was reply, but then I'll delete it. So I got all the stuff I wanted to say out of my system, but I never sent it. And then the messages would go bing, 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 because she's trying to get me to bite, because she wants her fix of drama for the day. And then I read somewhere, I can't remember where, but I implemented it straight away. And that is, every time I fight with the narcissist, the kids only get her story of how it panned out. So she'll show them messages from me, parts of messages without any of the other side, and make her story to fit that message. And so every time I argue with her, I'm giving her more ammunition to hate, for my kids to hate their dad, and or to not want to be with me, and to validate her stories. And so when I read that, everything made far more sense. So I stopped, and I stopped messaging everything. And I wrote my letters to my girls. I've been blocked on their phones, so it was pointless trying to message them. But I did know from when the narcissist messaged me back, and she was saying, the girls hate getting the letters. They think they're a waste of time. Your handwriting's messy, all this sort of stuff. They think their dad's stupid. I thought, well, they've been opened and they're being read, and she doesn't like it. So instead of sending one a week, I sent 2 a week. And that was my way of going, well, if you want to have a go at me about it, that's my response. But I didn't reply to her. And she doesn't.
Yeah. Let's go into it in a minute. Just a
Sorry.
minute. Just one. I just want to go back one more thing, like, because what you said was so important, was that the alienators want to push the button. They want you to react. And they want you to react without thinking. So it's so important. Any interaction you have with the alienators, it's only do it when you have to, and stick to just whatever that you have to. Don't go beyond that. Don't create drama. It's so important. I really don't want parents to miss that point. So important. And like you said, that is such a good point that you brought up, which is they will use whatever that you give as a tool to enforce that story, to validate their story to the children. So really think about everything that you put. So that's so important. Okay, so I love what you do, which is what you said. You then, once you learn about this and you took the advice, you started writing letters. So let's talk about this. You wrote once a week. What did you write in these letters?
I kept them really simple. And so it would always be, I finished with, I love you, Dad, kiss, kiss, kiss. And I would always just, what I'm doing, so they're not missing out. Oh, this is what I've been up to this week. Sometimes it got pretty hard, especially when I went to 2 a week, to find things that might keep them entertained. But the thing is, any more than a page, it's too much. You need to keep it simple, because they don't want to be reading pages. They just want something easy. And it's easy for me to write a page and keep the letters reasonably interesting. But I didn't put pressure on them. It's not about, when are we going to see each other? You should, taking all the blame and any responsibility away from them, because they'll be already doing that to themselves. And it's about me just telling them that I'm okay, and I'm okay to know that you're okay, and that I love you and I'm here. And it always finished that with, I love you and I'm here, and things like that. And I used to send, sometimes I would just Google nice quotes from dads and things like that for daughters and things, and I'd write those in there and things like that, just to try and mix it up a bit. One of them responded to one of those once, and anyway, it was, you're blaming mum for this, blah blah blah. And it's like, if you want to put that, I remember replying with something like, if you want to put that spin on it, that's where your mind is at. That's not where it was coming from, and left it at that. And that was probably the biggest explanation that I gave out of the whole time, once I realized I don't need to explain myself, and I need to look after myself, because when those girls realize what is going on, they're going to need support. And so that's what I did. That's what I chose to do. And yeah.
That is so wonderful. So I wanted to ask this huge favor, and feel free to say no. Would you mind looking up one of those letters and read it for us? Do you mind? And in the meanwhile, take your time, and if that's okay, and then in the meanwhile, I wanted to kind of summarize and break down what you just talked about, and also I wanted to pick up some of the comments. Yeah, would that be okay?
Yeah, that's okay. I just got to try and dig up their email account.
Okay, thank you so much. That would be amazing to see, like maybe an example or so. But okay, so what Alan was just talking about is amazing. So he was writing letters every week, once a week, until he got confirmation that the letters are being read. But we'll go into that in a minute. But so what he wrote was, he tried to keep it short. He tried to keep it simple. No guilt, no emotional guilting of the kids, no sort of like forcing them to see him, no, and making sure they know that he loves them. So those are, and he keep it regular. So that is so important. I interviewed Dr. Amy Baker before, and the same thing she talked about is that you try to keep a regular contact. So if you still have a way of texting your children or calling your children or things like that, make sure it's a regular things. And even though your children may not respond at all, it actually built this thing in your children so that they actually know that you're always there. That somehow it become a part of their foundation of well-being, whether you believe it or not. Okay, so I wanted to look at some of the comments. I know a lot of it scrolled past already, but Brenda said, my lawyer turned on me and agreed with his family and lawyer. There's a lot of lawyers, bad lawyers out there. There's not enough good lawyers who are ethical and who understand parental alienation, unfortunately. And I'm so sorry. I hear this a lot of the time, that lawyers will drop the case in the middle of it at the most critical moment. Lawyers will negotiate underhandedly behind your back. Lawyers will, not doing the job. And then there's lawyers that simply just give bad advice because they have good intention, but they don't understand the situation. And even with Alan's case, it's the same thing. His lawyer advised him to do a settlement that have no power whatsoever. There's no enforcement power in court. So this happened a lot, unfortunately. Carol said, same thing happened to my daughter at court. My lawyer turned on her, and it's been 5 years now. I have no contact with my grandkids, and we live in the same town. So Carol is a grandparent. I'm so sorry. Okay, Renee said, agreed to someone that said that was what I was told. Kids shoe, it's crazy. Okay, so what Alan's lawyer said, that the kids will get to choose and the judge will just listen to that. That does happen sometimes, but it's not always the case. So the same in New Zealand and the same in a lot of places. You need to look up the adult age or the age where the child get to choose. So each jurisdiction will have their own law, so you have to look it up. So for certain state, it may be 16 years old, some state is 14 years old, some country will be 16, whatever it is. But then below that, the judge or in the court may interview the kid and may listen to the kid, but it doesn't mean that they will always do. Now some lawyers are simply lazy and they don't want to take the case, so then they just say, well, don't do it, it's a waste of time. It may be a waste of time, it may be not. Like I'm not a lawyer. You know your case better than anybody, including the lawyers. So you really have to kind of look at your case and figure out how strong you are. And the fact that you end up being alienated say a lot about the fact of you not being able to set boundaries with the alienators. So it's really to do with how much you have grown from the point, because this is really everything going in court has nothing to do with the truth. Fact is that this is an emotional game. It's an emotional warfare between you and the alienators. So if you are strong enough, you have grown much from the point that you were alienated to the point that you are ready to fight with the alienators. If you are mentally strong enough, you will be able to fight that. So really, that's where you measure. It has a little bit, but not a lot to do with the rest of it, which is the legal case. Because if you have mentally built up yourself strong enough to be able to set boundary with the alienators, then you can fight the alienator either in court or outside of court. But the key thing is you here. That's where the real battle is. So I don't want to talk about the legal situation, but it's true in some situation, but it's not true in a lot of situations. And we interview a lot of successful case where parents go and fought in court. We interview a lot of lawyers who talk about how to fight in courts, and they have successfully won cases in court. So, check out our past videos. And then sometimes we do private events where, it's not in the public. So join our mailing list on victimtohero.com website so that you don't miss those events. But, if you do want to fight in court, it's not impossible. I'm just saying you can educate yourself and figure out what's the best thing. Okay, there's a lot more comments, but I think Alan is ready. So are you ready, Alan?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
go ahead.
So you have to bear with me because I'll be taking names out, etc. Of certain things.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's Dear, my youngest daughter. This one was 2. I hope you're well. I hear your mum has broken her ankle. That is sad, and I hope she gets better soon. How is school going? What have you been doing? My work is going well, and I'm happy with the way things are going. I also became a volunteer firefighter, so I let her know that. Fire training is getting hard, and the fitness levels we need to have are getting higher. Her cat, I'll leave the name off, her cat is back because it disappeared for 3 months. She has been at the house down the road for a few months and wouldn't come back as they were feeding her. Angry emoji. I had a word with them and now she's home with us. And my daughter obviously injured her thumb when I wrote this. When will your hand and thumb be okay? When will you be back at netball? I love you, darling. Take care always, Dad. And that was it.
That's very sweet, because it was not only you show care for your child, you show care for your alienator, your ex-spouse, because you don't want your child to feel like you're treating each other like enemy. You still show that you actually care for her. So you actually say, your mom hurt her ankle, I'm sorry. That's sad, right? So that's very thoughtful of you. And then at the same time, you care for your child, and then you share a part of your life. And that is so nice. And then there's no guilting there. Like, why aren't you writing to me? Why aren't you seeing me? When am I going to see you? This is not right. That, you don't put any of that guilt onto your children, which is so important. And,
It's very important.
Right. And then you close with, I love you, and kiss and hug. So that's so nice. So my father never had contact with me, but he wrote diary for me on a website for me to find. And that's what I found later as an adult. I found my father's diary where he wrote, it wasn't every week, but it was pretty regularly. And he would write, yeah, today I did this, kind of like what you wrote, and I'm thinking of you, and I remember you were singing this song and this and that, and I saw this bag and I thought of you, and I bought it for you, but I can't give it to you. But you would have loved this bag to go to school with, and here's the photo of the bag. So as an adult, I have no doubt that my father loved me, because this is not a one letter. This is an ongoing, regular letters that was written for me. By the time I found this, my father had passed, so I never had that relationship with my father. I never got to reunite with my father. But it's so important for my well-being. So parents, you need to do this for your children, even if you have no contact whatsoever, because my father had no contact with me whatsoever. He was blocked, absolutely blocked. And so please, do this for your children. And what you were doing was working, which is amazing. So you are writing every week, and then so it's really tick off the alienator. So she wrote back to you and say, hey, your kid hate this.
Yep. So then I did twice a week.
So then you did twice a week.
Because if she's trying to get me to stop, they're liking it, and she doesn't like that. So then it's like, right, I'll give them more. And and that's what I did. And when it came to birthdays and Christmas and things like that, I would buy them. And if we went on holiday, I'd buy them, like my stepson would be with us, and I would buy them a gift. He'd get his present. I'd buy them a present, but I'd buy something because I knew I wasn't going to see them for a number of years that would be like a bracelet. Now, and something that if they got years later, they could actually probably wear it, or a charm or something like that. And I didn't send it to them. I kept it. They're all actually still in a box in my wardrobe, but with notes written on. Everything has a note on it. I bought this when we were in Australia in the Gold Coast, and I was thinking of you, and I really wished you could have been there. And rolled the thing up, put it in with the present, and I've put it away.
Wow.
And that's for all the Christmases and birthdays. I would send them something, but I know it would be rubbish. It would be, oh look, it's cheap and nasty. Oh look, it's made out of this. I could have bought them a gold ring with diamonds all over it, and it was the cheap version, no doubt. It didn't matter what I got them. So I figured, if I'm going to get accused for giving them rubbish stuff, and I'll just send them something nice that they would like, but I'll buy them the present that I wanted to give them, and I'll keep it to the day that they'll appreciate it, and it won't be thrown away, because that's probably what would happen with it, with their mother. And so we had all this stuff. Now, jumping forward a bit, when my eldest did come home, she sat down, and it was like this big glory box and video and emails of all these letters. Now, she'd read most of the letters, but sometimes I didn't write them a letter. I just emailed them to this account. So it was how I was feeling, and that I really do miss them. And so I was sort of putting in those emails, I'd put the pressure on as, I love you so much, and I'm gutted that you're not here, because they were here now, and it wouldn't make them feel that bad. And it was to let them that side of it, but I'm not putting pressure on them why they're with the narcissist. That was how I looked at it. I gave reasons for the breakdown between me and my sister, her auntie, my daughter's auntie, and her whole family. I have nothing to do with them, because she sided with the narcissist, because they need that, like you said earlier, they need the narcissist to validate their lies. They need the narcissist, sorry, they need the family and your close friends to validate their lies. And even now with my daughters back in my life, I won't have anything to do. There was a wedding recently that I was invited to with my partner, and I just, no, I'm not going. I don't want anything to do with them. And I know that upset my niece, but unfortunately, that's what happens. I'm not putting my partner into that cauldron of hatred. And but yeah, so anyway, so that's what I did with all the letters. And they are the one of the things about the counselor that I saw, or the child psychologist I saw, she said to me, it's about when your children come back, and you've just proved that yourself, it's filling that gap, because they have this big question: did my mum love me? Did they? And that you can't prove. It's backdated, and with the email catalog, it's dated. It's not like, oh, she's coming back, I'll create some letters and make it look like I cared. It's in black and white. And a little story of a guy I spoke to the other day. I was counseling him through some. He was stuck. He didn't know what to do. He's in the court system, and he's nearly broke now. And his father was alienated from him, but he doesn't know. He actually thinks his dad just didn't want anything to do with him. His dad didn't want to. And he said, I found him, and he was just like, oh, sort of didn't want to see him. And he goes, and I don't want to be that dad. I don't want to be that. And I said, and he says, I don't see how letters are going to work and things like that. And I said, okay, let me put it to you this way. If you'd met your dad, who you hadn't seen for something like 20 years, he said, yeah. I said, would it have made a difference if he had a big backlog of letters that he'd written you? And he went, oh yeah, absolutely, make all the difference. I said, you're the alienated child. You're no different to your own kids. And that's exactly why you write the letters. It's something for them to come and fill that gap with. And that's when the penny dropped for him. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because he put himself in his kid's shoes, and it fills that gap. But sorry, that's what I did.
No, it's very good. I also wanted to point out something that Dr. Amy Baker, who has done quite a lot of research in this field, talk about. She talked about the letters, And she talked about also always think about the children perspective instead of your perspective,
Yep.
because it's like you and your child are separated by a river and you're standing on the two sides of the banks, and your child is looking at this, you're both looking at the same river but you're looking at it from different side of the river. So always when you write this letter you have to think about the child's perspective, not your perspective. That's one thing. And the other thing is um, to reunite your child with you. You're trying to elicit emotional by using senses. So think of memories or experience that have a good smell. Like for example, oh, the time that you maybe bake cookies with your children and it smell amazing. It's the house filled with that, and then you can write a letter and talk about this. So think of something that experience that have a smell, and then also think of experience that have um I don't remember, but it's like senses. So think of maybe a song or a music. So think about something that bring back that sound that is positive. So maybe remember every time we go here, there's that song play or something like that. So when you write this letter, think of multiple dimensions to help rebuild that relationship with your child, because your child have been um, brainwashed of all of that. Those memory has been stripped of your child memory. So you want to rebuild it in a way that if you just say, oh, I love you, it's not enough, because you need to demonstrate that. And the best ways, and alienators will try to repaint the history with this ugly color. So you have to bring back by these things that are multidimensional. So if you can, and it's not enough to say, oh, we went camping. It need more than that. To remembers, we had the bonfire, and it has this wood smell. It's amazing. And then now it brings back this different element of the memory, this corner of the memory in your child that the alienators are not able to destroy. And then that will help healing your relationship. So thank you so much for sharing your letter. And so you did self-education, you write the letter, and then you also back it up as an email account so that your child can get it later, so that because some of the letters may not have gotten to your children, because if she got it first, she's going to throw it out. So if the children got it, then the children might have seen it. So now you have everything in it, because a lot of parents don't even know if the letters get to your children. And that's the thing is, keep track it in some way so that your children can get it one day. So with my dad, luckily he kept it in a website. It's actually a Google site. And so it's on there, and all I had to do was, I actually never thought about searching for him, but when somebody triggered me and said, oh, your dad was alienated from you, all I had to do was just searching a few specific things, his name and a few specific information about him, his town, and my name and a few things together, and the site came up. So figure out a way that the children can find this information. And by the way, we actually have an event coming up, I think next week or something. It's called Future Communication with Your Alienated Children, where I'm going to talk about this very specific topic, which is how do you communicate with your children? And especially in situation like my father, he passed by the time I wake up. So, how do you make sure that it's still there for your children to find it? And I wanted to propose a few things that I found from interview parents like Alan, and from my personal situation with my father, and also with other kind of research. So I wanted to bring that together. So I hope you join us to discuss that topic. So okay, so you email, and then so how long did this go on before and then what else did you do before your older daughter came back? Oh, you're muted, sorry.
Sorry, my dog was barking. So it was about 3 years, and that went on for. I got the odd text every now and then, but it was normal. I would say 90% of the odd text was gaslighting me, telling me they hate me, that mum's new boyfriend's more of a dad than I've ever been, and all that sort of stuff. And I took those as, look, they're just trying to look after themselves in a hostile environment, and this is what they need to do. You just keep firing. It hurts, but I can take the hits. I'm the adult. And if that's my job as your dad to protect you, you just keep going. That's the mindset I took on, to protect me and to protect them. They didn't need me firing back at them. And I know that's what the mother wanted. And so it went on for about 3 years. And then I started then my eldest reached out with a phone call one night. And things, she would have been 17, I think 17. And she came back and she said, Dad, this is what's happened. Mum's done this, mum's done that. So she'd been reading the letters. So she knew I was still there. And that was the big key of the letters. When she needed it, she could call me. Anyway, I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of what had happened that day for her. But basically I said, look, right now, you live with your mum. It's her rules. That's what it is. It's your choice. I would just go to bed, go to sleep, wake up in the morning. It's a new day. And then the curfew that she's put on you doesn't apply then. And then go and do what you wanted to do, but just do it then. She went, okay, Dad. Yep, okay. I love you, Dad. I love you. And she put the phone down. And I phoned her sister. I tried. I thought I'd phone her. And I phoned her sister. And she didn't answer, but she messaged back and she said, Dad. Oh, and she was all caught up in the drama of it. So I was like, oh, I'll just leave it. But anyway, my eldest phoned me the next day and she said, thanks for last night. I appreciate it. And then we started to rebuild. Well, I saw her once a month, pretty much for about an hour. We'd go for a coffee. And that was it. Because any more than that, and the mother would be furious and she'd take it out on her. And then it was about 6 months after that, she turned around and the mother was, because when you get to that age, for the teenagers, they're pushing back. They want their freedoms. And I've always pushed, or the mother's always pushed, it's about your choice. You choose to stay with me. And so I thought, okay, well, if she's going to do that, well, it is their choice. So I would say it's your choice. And so she would, when she got to the age where she wanted to push back and do her thing, the narcissist really struggles, I find, from the stories I've read and from my own personal experience with the kids at that age, because they start losing control. And the kids understand that they don't have to do what the narcissist is telling them to do. They have their own life. So the mother wanted her to something about a job. I can't remember exactly what it was off the top of my head. But anyway, they clashed and knives started getting slammed on tables in front of my daughter. You will do as I tell you, and things like that. All the threats started coming out. And she phoned me up in tears. And I said, right, I'm on my way. You want to go? She goes, yes, Dad. And I said, right, I'm on my way. And I picked her up and she came home. And she came home for 6 months before the mother got back into her head again and bribed her, and it's all different now and it's not like that. And then as soon as she went back to her mum's, boom, up went the alienation again. However, in that time, we laid a lot of seeds in my daughter's heads about me and built her confidence up about her choices, her life. I explained to her, look, as a parent, we don't own you. We're here to guide you for the first X amount of years of your life. And that's all I can do. And she started coming with me to fire. And I had a word with our fire chief and I said, hey, can you ask her if she'll join? Because if you ask her, she'll do it. But if I ask her, she won't. So the fire chief said, yeah, sure. So, and she joined, and she's a firefighter as well now. And I found that as something that me and her will always have. And it serves so many purposes. And it built her confidence within herself immensely. And she was doing it with her dad. And so when she went back to her mum's, she still came to the fire training every once a week. And so even though I'd been alienated, she wouldn't have anything to do with my partner at that stage and all those sorts of things, we still saw each other once a week and would do our training. And then after about 6 months, and that's the mothers, over the years, I've worked it out. And even when I was with her, I could work it out. Every 6 months, she would have blown a credit card somewhere, or she would do something, not pay the mortgage for a number of months or something. Every 6 months, she would blow out. And it worked out that with pretty much with my daughters too. And in the sense that she would end up clashing with them. The honeymoon period would end in 6 months. She then started putting bigger demands on why she shouldn't do fire training, volunteer firefighter. Why would you do that? You don't get paid for it. What a waste of time. Only idiots do that. Whereas my daughter's like, well, no, Mum, firefighters are respected all around the world. And the fact that you do it and you don't get paid is an admirable thing. And then she started saying, hey, this hasn't changed. So she came back. But that day, it went down a lot worse for my daughter, and my ex tried to run her over. She took away all her clothes. She isolated her from her friends. She phoned up all her friends' parents, and she told them that my daughter, I don't know the full story, but it's like, for example, she deals drugs or something like that, because she went to school on the Monday and not one friend would speak to her. She was on her own. And the mother had done it. And she tried to do it again because my daughter went back after another 6 months. And this time she tried to break her and her boyfriend up. And so she phoned his parents and said, my daughter's been having an affair. It's been going on with this other guy called such and such. And it was a relatable guy. It was another guy that works for my daughter because she got a job now. And that's when she sees her mum now, but she's got her own place. She moved back in with me. Now she's got her own place and she gets on with her life, and she totally gets what her mum does. And she keeps her mum at a long leash and under control, all that by the age of 20.
Sorry, so go back a bit. You said the first time that she called you, how old was she at the time?
I think she was 17 off the top of my head.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So you wrote for 3 years, and then by the time 17, she contacted you, and then you started to slowly rebuilding your relationship. You still didn't get back together yet. You just see each other 1 hour a week. You building the relationship for 6 months, and then finally she came back.
Yeah.
Because the alienator turned on her.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is so important, is that for target parents to remember this. Alienators are abusive. They are there to control the children. They don't love the children. So they will turn on the children. They will turn on the children. Doesn't matter how happy you see them on Facebook or on social media, or how they look and how they seem to portray to the society. Your children are suffering. The children are being controlled, and your children know that. The children may behave a certain way, but they are not happy. Trust me, they are not happy. And at some point, the alienator is going to turn on the children in a way that is unbearable for your children. And you have to be there, be ready for your children, because your children are going to need you. And if you are still hurt and broken and resentful of your children and not be there for your children when they need you the most, you're not going to be able to take your children back. So it's so important to recognize this. Alienators are abusive. They are going to turn on your children. They will. It's just a matter of time. And like the children are suffering now. It's just the children are too young to be able to stand up for themselves, and the tolerant level may be high enough, so they keep putting up with it. But at some point, that's going to be too much. And so that's what happened, is that Alan had paving this path for his children to know that he's there. He loves the children, that he's there for them. So they know that there's a safe place to go back to if they need to. And then at some point when it's too much, then she call you, and then you can start building. It's so important. And if you still have contact with your children, it's so important that you realize this and build it now. Build your relationship with your children, really build it. So there's that logistic of your daughter going back and forth. That is actually very common. If you get a chance to reunite with your children, it's not guaranteed that it's all good from that point. It's because the thing is, your children still want to love the alienators because that's still their parents. They still love their other parent, and we all do. And especially when you are abused as a child by that parent, you even try harder to get their approval because you blame yourself. You think that, oh, if I can just be nicer to that parent, maybe they will love me. Maybe if I try harder, maybe it's my fault, right? Because abusive people are very good at making you normalize their behavior, accepting their behavior, and placing the blame on yourself. And so the children will do this. The children will think that, oh, it's my fault if I can try harder. So yeah, so even when they go back to you, they will carry on that guilt about leaving the alienators. So that's why they're struggling. So really making it as easy as possible for your children. Really be available, really be available for your children, and no judgment. And don't take that opportunity to start, throwing trash at your alienator, because the children's gonna go back, and then now you're just gonna be the bad guy. So you have to be like as neutral as possible regarding the alienators and to stay out of it. But in the meanwhile, really be the loving, open arms and safe place for your children. Right? There's three key things: be the loving, safe, and available. Those are the three things that you have to be as a parent. Loving, safe, available. Just everything that you do, focus on that first. Nothing else. Really just focus on that and understand that it's not about the intellectual aspect of it. It's not about logic. Really understand your children from the emotional side. Really look at it from that side. The other thing I wanted to point out, which Alan brought up, is that he got his daughter eventually signed up for fire fighting, like volunteering for firefighting. And that is so important, is because you need to build your relationship with your children, not just between you and your children. You need to build a network of people around you. You need to build shared values. You need to build other people so that your children see you through other people. And this is so important because, and this applies to any kind of relationship. Let's say if I say to another person, I love you, that means something. But if somebody else, a third person, go in and said, oh, she really loved you, now that message has a lot more power than just me saying it. Somehow the third person voice, especially somebody that they respect, somebody that seems neutral, it's so important. So it's so important for you to build a network of people outside you and your family for your children. Try to reach out to their friends at school, to the teacher, to the to their extracurriculum activity like volleyball, football, whatever else, the neighbors, extended relatives. Try to build that network of people between you guys to help enforcing that relationship. That is so important. And so you did that, Alan. You got that, because now she go to the training, she got these people that share the same value with you. And so now she going back, and then her mother trying to put you down and say, that's stupid that your dad does this, and da 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 da. She can see it herself. This is something now she take pride in. And it's not just you that's saying it's a good thing, the people that she going training with. She take pride in it herself, and she sees these people, and these are the value that you share. So it's much harder for the alienator to take a hit at this. So that is so important. And you can do this with many different ways, different people, different things. But really, it's so important to build that network of people around you. And then, share value, which is like, you said about, you go and do this volunteer thing so they can build. Oh, and then the other aspect is build critical thinking. And, the same with you. You were talking about, teaching her to be understanding that she is her own person, that she can make her own choice, and then building her confidence through this firefighting training. all of that is building into her critical thinking and her self-confidence, and all that is so important so that she can stand up and set boundary herself with the alienators, because truly that's where it stopped. You can help a little bit, but a lot of it come from the child themselves. They have to be the one who set the boundary. And so that's amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, so what else? Tell us, like, is there any more to the story that you would like to share? Because
Oh,
we have a lot of questions too. I'm not saying this is the end of it, but before we go into the question in the chat room.
I think my other daughter, she struggles a lot more with it. Both girls are totally different personalities, and she's the stubborn one, and I know she's going to be there a long time working with her mum, trying to get her mum to change and believing she will change. She struggled with it, but I saw them both last night. We all went out for dinner, as well as my daughter's boyfriend, who's joined the fire as well, and we had a really fun time. And my youngest turned to me and she said, "Dad, I've really missed having fun."
Oh.
And I gave her a big hug. And this is a 17-year-old young woman hugging her dad in the bowling alley in front of her friends that are around doing their thing, etc. And I found that a really big thing for a young girl or young woman to do with her dad, and she misses her dad, and I know that. And I think the key, and you touched on it before when I said about choice, it's their path, and we're here to guide them, not to control them. That's what the narcissist is doing. And as long as I can provide her the best guidance I can, that's how I look at it. That's my job. And I basically had to sit down at the beginning and go, okay, how I saw being a parent to my kids during this time of their life is not going to happen. And I had to just get it and change my whole, right, how can I parent? I'm going to parent by example. So they still know what dad does because I put the odd thing up on Facebook, or I might write it in my letters. I've joined the fire brigade. I did that because I had a lot of time on my hands, and it was something good for me. It made me feel good. And because it's still hard, just because I had a plan didn't mean it wasn't easy. It was still hurt. And I also thought, and when I joined, a friend of mine who was doing it, his daughter was in the fire brigade. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, I'd love that. That would be brilliant. So I set it as my new task. When my kids come back, I'm going to see if they want to do it. And the eldest has. The youngest, I think she would, but at the moment there's far too much judgment from her mum. If she sees me more than once a month, she's starting to get the negative feedback from her mum and puts pressure on her. So I just play it at their speed, because as much as I want to speed it up, we've just got to keep it real. And the other thing I found doing it this way, opposed from the courts, is that the children do it, they work it out for themselves. The outcomes are a lot better, in the sense that I think without this, me and both my daughters at this moment in time have a far better relationship than if I was still with their mum and living in the same house, and or even if we had kept up the 50-50 custody. And the reason being is they both gave me my birthday cards, which was the other day, and they both said, "I love you and I appreciate you, Dad." And I think that word appreciation is a big key. Love is obviously great, but to add that word in there says a lot for both of them. And I think the key is to come out of this is with the most healthy minded children as we can possibly get, while looking after ourselves mentally, physically, and financially. And I think if we can do that, we've demonstrated how people should be. Because I remember when I was married to the narcissist, I just couldn't understand it, didn't get it. And if someone had told me, well, actually, there's a disorder, it's called and explained it to me, I probably would have left a lot earlier. But anyway, sorry, that's sort of all really I have to add.
No, don't apologize. That's all very important. Yeah, so I wanted to highlight a few things that he mentioned. And I one of the things you said earlier is that every now and then he would get a couple of texts that would attack him while he was writing the letter during that period that he had no contact with the children. He would get sort of random text sometime that attack him about, you know, how bad he is, and you know how he's how the stepdad is way better as a more of a father, you know, things that are really hurtful. And it takes a lot for you to not react, but that is so important that you don't react. You really can't react. And at the same time, that's one part of it, is not to react. The other part of it is so important, is self-care, is you don't take that and then let it destroy you, because that's exactly what the alienators want. The alienators want you to just collapse and just disappear and completely destroy. So you have to realize that that's just a weapon. It means nothing. It has no impact whatsoever. Because today, Alan can see that his daughters still love him all along. It didn't change. The children behaviors, you cannot take the children behaviors and take that as a reflection of how they feel about you. Deep down inside, they still love you, but they have to survive. Imagine somebody pointing a gun at your kid and say, you know, tell him that you hate him. The children are gonna say, yeah, I hate him. That's exactly what it is. It may not be a physical gun, but it is a gun to their head, and they have to survive. So you can't take any of their behaviors and then say, wow, they don't love me, they don't want me, so I will, you know, I'll show them, you know, I don't want them either, you know, or I will treat them, you know, it doesn't matter how old they are, they can be adults. That doesn't change. Because a lot of the time parents will think, well, my children are adult now, they should know better. No, this is a conditioning, this is a programming that has happened all these years. How do you think they can change? You can't change that. It takes a lot. So you can't expect the children to just automatically change overnight. You have to accept that they behaving this way as a way of surviving. It's a coping mechanism. So in the meanwhile, you have to protect yourself. You can't let those things affect you and then damage you and destroy you. You have to self-care. So you have to do what you need. You have to, you know, find your life purpose. You have to find your friends. You have to build your relationship. You have to build your life and live your life the fullest, so that you'll be completely healed and full and inspiring for your children to come back and wanting to come back to you. You really need to be somebody that the children look up to, because the children will look for you. And so it's so important. And so that part I want to highlight. Self-care is so important, and not reacting to the attempt of attacks. That's so also very important. The other things that I also want to point out that Alan mentioned is that the alienators know you very well. They know every button to push. You need to remember that. So it hurts. It will always hurt. Everything that they do will hurt, and sometimes it hurts so badly. But don't ever let any of that affect you. And I saw a comment, I think Victoria or someone comment in the chat room saying, I learned that I saw an advice that, you know, you have to treat your communication with the alienator as if it's a business communication, and that's a good advice. If you just look at it as this is a business conversation with the alienator, you keep it strictly professional, and you don't go into drama, you don't go into anything that's not needed. You stick to whatever the business matter that, you know, legally you have to do, you know, whatever the reasonable thing that you have to do, but don't go beyond that. You know, you don't have to explain your personal life. You don't deal with your drama, none of that. You don't attack the other person, none of those things. So yeah, definitely know that the alienators know you really well. Okay, the other part, on the flip of the coin, is at the same time, you know the alienators really well. So dig deep, sit down and really take an inventory of what you understand, what you know about the alienator, and try to like self-educate, like Alan was going and reading about it to try to understand these behaviors. But you know the alienators very well, which is your advantage, because then you can then turn around and figure out, how do I fight this? So for me, the reason I got my children back is because I understand the alienators. Finally sit down and took inventory of that, and I understand when the gaslighting happened, when smoke and mirror happened, and then I changed my behavior and I accounted the way that I should instead of just reacting every time and trying to justify myself and reacting. No, I finally stopped all of that, and the moment I stopped and said no, this is smoke and mirror. I'm not going to react to that. I'm just going to stick to the matter at hand and I hold that person accountable. And then that's when it's really the beginning of it. Like when I finally can set my boundary, that's when I start winning back. And that is so important. A few years ago, I never thought, I had no idea if I ever going to see my children again. Today, I mean, actually, I saw Claudia in the chat room. Claudia met my children. My children went to watch the documentary film with us, Parental Alienation, The Aftermath. They went to the premiere. I had my daughter's party last night at my house. She had all her friends over. This is the thing. You may never get back what you lost. Things may never be the same way that you imagine. But like Alan said, with him, he figured out, okay, things are not the same, but how am I going to still be the parent? How do I parent now? You have to choose, you have to figure out how you do things differently because it's not fair. It's totally unfair. You're being thrown at this horrible situation, but how do you rise up to this occasion? How do you deal with it? And ultimately, things can be so much better because your relationship with your child is not just today and it's not just this few years, it's for life. And with my father, it's beyond his death. So how do you build that? How can you be the parent and how can you build that love and that relationship that is for life? That nothing can stop it. So you have to think beyond that and it can be so much better than you imagine. So you have to hold on to that conviction and figure out how to fight because a lot of parents I would see, they would run to me and I understand this and they want to find this button to press right now and this pill that they can take right now. How do I urgently can do this right now? How can I find a lawyer right now? I mean, all of that is important, but unfortunately, this is a long game. It's not something that you can do it quickly because alienators have done this long campaign over years on your children, on your friends, on your family, on all the people around. So you can't reverse that quickly, unfortunately. So, and you may not see it, but it has happened for a long time. So if you can just, deal with something today, but really think of it in a long game and be patient about it. So that is so important. Anna, do you want to add something? I'm going to try to start to pick up some of the question if we can.
I'm all good now. If
Okay.
you want to go to straight to the questions.
Okay, thank you so much. Sabrina says, this is so helpful. Thank you both from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much, Sabrina, and thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Really appreciate your support because you are being here really help us. Okay, Maura says, this is game-changing, empowering meeting today. Thank you. Deb said, those words are so true. As parents, our job is to guide our children. We don't own them or have right to control them. Calvino said, whoa, the saga never ends. And that's unfortunately is the situation is that alienators are injured people. They have their own trauma. And those trauma have never been healed. And so they now taking it out on you. And because their traumas are not healed, they will continue to find victim to place their attack on. And unfortunately, as long as they choose you to be the victim until they find a new victim, this will just continue to go on, and it may manifest in different ways, but unfortunately, it will just keep going. But if you are strong enough and you set a boundary in a certain way that they know that they cannot anymore use you as a victim, then it will stop. It actually does, and it can stop, and we've seen it. It can stop. And for some time, there are situations where parents will use court as a way of fighting it, and it does work in a lot of the cases. But sometimes the court has a limited jurisdiction because by the time the children's 18, if you don't truly reverse the situation with your children, then by the time the children are 18, we'll see situation where parents will win in court and then will still lose the children ultimately. So you really have to, like, to fight this properly, you really have to go into the root and build it at all dimensions. You can't just, rely on just one thing. So okay, and then Sabrina said, it's chronic. The only option is to self-educate and manage it for the rest of one's life. Waiting for it to change is a waste of time. Yeah, you can't wait for it to change. It's definitely a long term. Maura said, Petra, I never understood the alienators will turn on the kids. Thank you for that enlightenment. Yeah, they will. They definitely will, because this is. Go ahead,
Sorry,
Alan.
if I can add into that, and I know you've covered it off, Petra, already, and that is the alienators. They paint a beautiful picture for everyone else to see. I can promise you, and I'm sure you'll agree, Petra, that inside those closed doors is a living hell. And it's not nice and it's not fun. And those kids want out, but they also want their parent to love them. And just as much, they know they've got yours. That's why you're still there. That's why you're on this show today, to try and work out how to help them, and it's so important that I've lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. That you keep that contact there, because that's what they need. It's not all roses at the alienator's house. My daughter told me that, and when we had the brief moments where like when I picked my daughter up, it was hostile things were happening. My daughter was nearly run over. She got hit by her mother driving her car in the garage. So literally tried to smash her into the wall. These things that she does to keep control, they will not stop at anything. There's no limit. And because every now and then, and I don't know about you, Petra, but I still do it. And I'm like, I thought I'd seen them, I thought I'd heard it all. That's just new level. And seriously, they just keep going until they get what they want. And that's, so that's what I was just saying.
No, thank you. That was very good insight. And that's the thing, right? It's we have a documentary film that we're gonna try to get out to everyone. It's called Parental, Alienation and Aftermath. And in this, it's feature these adult children sharing stories about what happened behind the closed doors. Because you from the outside, it looks amazing. It looks like, healthy, happy children who, doing well at school and have extracurricular activities and whatever, right? Like, when you look at me as a grown adult, a lot of people would say, well, she's a successful, I have a PhD, I traveled the world, I was married, and, I was financially successful, etc., etc. Nobody knew how broken I was and how desperate I was, that I needed my dad, and I had no idea if my dad loved me. I didn't know, because he was blocked. And I had to parrot everything that my mother said, that he was horrible, he was a monster, blah, blah. I still had to behave that way, no matter what, right? So it's, you have to understand, it's like exactly what Alan was saying. It's not happy behind that closed door, and alienators are abusive. So that's, notice what Alan was telling about what she did when his daughter tried to stand up for herself, is that she then tried to isolate her by contacting all the daughter's friends with a whole mudsliding campaign against the daughter, to destroy the daughter's reputation among her friends. So she went to school and she now, I said, the alienators doesn't care what kind of trauma or damage. It's just about winning for them, unfortunately. And when they are like that, there's no true love, there's no true unconditional love. So then, the children are suffering. There's no way around it. The children are suffering. And so, yeah, it's truly important to recognize that.
Oh, can I just add on to that, Petra? With the children, when your children come back and the reunification goes, is happening, your children, they haven't been loved. They feel like there's a lot of baggage that comes in during that time. One of the things that you're going to find is they have a lot of narcissistic traits, your kids themselves, because that's what they've learned. That's how they've learned to survive. And the slightest little bit of gaslighting, they'll go down that road. And, you know, they struggle in arguments. And it takes a lot of patience, calm. This is where you got to be really honest to your own values. And if you say, you know, I'm not going to argue, you don't. You talk, and they'll slam doors, or they'll stomp, and they'll do all the things that they used to have to do to get by in the previous home. And you got to sit down and talk with them and just say, hey, that's not how we behave. That's not normal. And my girls as well, one thing I was really worried about them is them becoming really materialistic, because the most narcissists, is from my research, is that they are. Everything's about materials, and they were teenagers, so teenagers are a little bit narcissistic, to be fair, anyway, and materialistic, and they always gauge success in people by money, how much money you earn. And so I made it very clear to them that's not true. I personally believe success in life is happiness. If you're happy, how could you not be successful? And if you've got a lot of happiness, you could just be more successful, etc. And my daughters, when we were out for dinner the other night, one of them turned around and said to me, I'm really happy, Dad. And I said, you're successful, you know? And that's a real important thing. And it's not telling them this is how you have to be. It's leading by example and showing them this is happiness, not who's got the best car, who's got this, and who can do that. It's just being happy. And if you really, really, really want to get under the skin of your narcissistic ex, be happy, because nothing will make them more angry than your happiness and success. Sorry.
No, that was beautiful. And I always love this say, I don't know where I saw it, but it said, you know, living well is the best revenge. And
Yes, it is.
I truly hold that, you know, like truly hold that, like living well is the best revenge. Truly, you have to truly live your life, because that is what going to hurt the alienators the best, and that's going to really get your children back. Yeah, so thank you. That was beautiful. And yeah, so that's so important is, yeah, your children's gonna pick up these toxic behaviors because that's all they saw. That's what they were taught. They learn to manipulate, they learn to control, they learn to condition you, and they learn to argue and fighting and throw tantrum and all that kind of things. And yeah, it's you have to be patient. You have to be very patient with them. Definitely. So Sabrina said parental alienation calls for a new way of parenting, and Stan has figured this out. Parenting is, it's scrolling past my page. I'm sorry. And then I saw a lot of text. Thank you so much, Sabrina, for tagging people to this. Really appreciate it. Yeah, parents and everyone, if you could please help by liking this video, please share this, tag other people to this, because it really helps sharing the message. I saw Deb, I think earlier, ask if this is recorded. Yes, this is recorded. The same with our past events. If you go into the videos tab on our Facebook page with Victim to Hero, you will find all the recording of the past events, and then you can refer it back to it. We have covered so many topics. We have successful story, we have adult children that we interview, we have professional that we interview, therapists, psychiatrists, lawyers, you know, we even have judges. You know, we really cover a lot of different topics, from how to deal with the grief, how to fight in court, how to raise your children, etc. A lot of this topic, you know, how to reach out to your adult children even if you haven't talked to them for years, things like that. So yeah, definitely check out. Okay, Russ said, how do we, or did you disarm the flying monkeys who feed up one another in the situation to destroy your character and life as you knew it? Yeah, that's a good question. Did you deal at all? Did you do anything? Well, actually, one thing Alan mentioned is that he stopped having the relationship with his sister because his sister was siding with the alienators. But what else did you do? Did you confront your sister? Did you confront anybody else? Did you do anything?
With my sister, no, because she's married to a narcissist as well, and there's been a lot of things that my sister's done to my mum, who's dead now. She died And it was the day we buried my mum, I chose to finish my relationship with my sister. And that was because she conspired with my ex to make sure that my children went with me the day I buried my mum. And so for my mum's sake, me and my brother kept things as sweet as we could there. So my mum would think that we all got on. But I just stopped sharing information, etc. But that day, mum was buried, that was done, and I've not spoken to her since. She's reached out to me a number of times through different medias, but I'm not interested, and because she's toxic, and she's married to someone even more toxic, and I just don't need that in my life, And it was funny because it was my partner, and she's a great rock for me. She's an amazing person, but she turned around and said to me one day, she said, no one has the right to abuse you, and it's even worse if it's family. And I thought, yeah, how many times do we let people or family members abuse us that would be considered abuse, but because it's family, we go, oh, it's family. And so I decided, and my brother did too. He saw what happened that day we buried my mum, and he said, you know what? I don't want anything to do with her either. And so he finished up. He sorted out the will and everything, and then sent the money through or what she got, and that was it. He didn't want us to know that. So she's got no one because my dad died quite a while ago, and so she's got no one. And her two brothers that were always there for her won't do anything for her. We don't want to know. And so that's that side of it. She tried to turn my best friend, we were born at the same time, and we grew up together, best mate. And he was a bit on the fence, to be fair. And then it was a few years of him sitting on the fence. And I explained to him, I actually wrote him a massive letter, and it was really nicely written, in the sense I didn't want him to think I was angry or wanting to. I was just like, I want you to understand that if you let her into your home, as far as my daughters can see, is you're validating and condoning her behavior of what she's done to me. And he goes, I never thought that that's what I was doing. I said, I know, but you needed to be told because you're condoning it. And so he stopped letting her in. My brother, before all this went down, she was bringing him in as well. And I had to sit down and have a conversation. I showed him what parent alienation was, because I was only in the early days of learning, but I was learning. And and I said, she's creating these rifts between us, and she's planting seeds where you're getting angry with me, I'm getting annoyed with your responses, and it escalates. So I'm just putting it out on the table and letting you know. But if you're going to have a relationship with her, I can't have one with you, because I can't trust you not to tell her what I'm doing. And I literally gave her, my ex, any information was yes, no. If it needed any more, it's the absolute. And I know you said about a person saying make it a business letter. I'd go less than a business arrangement, because at least you put a few niceties in there. But it was yes, no. And I would also wait a few days. If it wasn't an urgent yes, I would wait 2 days before I'd send it, because I'm not giving her the respect she thinks she deserves for that yes. No, I'll do it when I'm ready, and I'll just put my phone down. And it's what I needed to do to get through it, because even though I had a plan, like I've said before, it still hurts. And that's not going to go away. But a plan gives you control. And if you have control, it stops the spiral, and it stops it getting out of control. But yeah, how I dealt with them. So that was my brother. My brother was, right, I've got your back. Boom, cut her off. Didn't want anything more to do with her. For that, he lost seeing my kids for the same amount of time as I did. My sister's seen them all the way through. She sold out on me so she could see my kids. And that's all my family. Aunties and uncles all live in another country. and they don't really get involved either anyway. My sister did try and blackmail me and my brother by telling the rest of our family abroad what, and she came up with all these lies. And I said, if you want to send that as a blackmail, you go for gold. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, what matters to me are my kids, my partner and her son, and my family that are loyal and not toxic about me. And the truth of it is, if they're toxic and they're family, that you're better off without them, because you need people that you love and love you for who you are, not for what you can give them. And my mum, before she died, she stood strong by me as well, and that was lovely to see. But she just wanted it to stop because she could see the hurt that it was causing her grandchildren. And but then she died. She died quite quick. So yeah, that's how I
Thank
dealt with
you.
them.
Yeah, no,
So
thank
I
you so
literally,
much.
oh, sorry, and Petra, and for all those Facebook hangers-oners, etc., that are sort of, oh, we're friends with you both. I just blocked them. I got rid of them, because what happens is they will utilize the information they get and from Facebook to manipulate whatever they can. So as much as I got blocked, I cut everyone off that wasn't that wouldn't, yeah, well, basically that wouldn't stand by me, and because I don't need them. That's how I saw it.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. That is so important. So this is the thing. We most of the target parents are naturally empath, right? We grew up and stick to the rules of what should and what shouldn't, but unfortunately we have been given the wrong information. We don't understand, and that's why sometimes we will put up with abuse, even because we say, oh, this is family, we are the daughter, we should do this way, we are the brother, we should do this way. Oh, they are my sisters, this is my cousin, so I have to X, Y, and Z, right? We follow the rule that we make this assumption, we learn this thing that were taught to us, and we stick by these rules. We are not rule breakers, and so we end up with this toxic relationship. So it's so important for us to relearn these behaviors of setting the appropriate boundaries. And families are really those that you choose to surround yourself with, those that truly care for you. It's not the blood that defines the family, unfortunately.
I agree.
And yeah, and that's so important. So thank you. So for me, I cut off so early on, I actually I thought there's a flying monkey, there's this person that I thought that they were innocent, that if I could just explain to them, and if they understood it, then they will, they will make the right decision. So I actually attempted to explain the situation and bring the evidence and show it. And they then went on and chose to make up blatant false allegation to support the alienators. And so when I saw that, I realized that you can't just use fact and logic, because alienators have certain powers to recruit people, unfortunately, either because they target the same people as them who are toxic, or because they target people that are naive, or people that are not very strong, or people simply don't want to get involved. So you sometimes have to accept to let go of certain people in your life. So I did the same thing with Alan. Is I just went through and removed the people that I think are toxic to my children and to me, and I just stick with the people that I think are important. But at the same time, I built a bigger network of people in my life and involve them with my children, because that was really important to me, to build beyond just me. So for example, I saw Claudia said Petra has an amazing relationship with her daughter. She's such a great mom. And thank you for that, Claudia. And I'm really grateful for that. And so Claudia is, somebody that is also know my children. And I have many other people that know my children and part of my children's life. And that's so important. And then I saw Sabrina said, yes, it is a living hell for the children. And I apologize, a lot of messages have gone past. So I'm just going to try to pick up a few if I can, because I know we also have a lot more messages. Alan, I think what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this soon, like in a minute or so. But I'm going to give you the link to this video. And, for parents that are asking, for, if this is recorded, like I said, it is recorded. So I'm going to share this link with Alan. You guys feel free to just continue posting your comment and questions. And then even after this session, Alan and I will go in and see if we can respond to any of your comment and question as much as we can. So don't feel like this is the end of it. Feel free to post your comment and question, and we'll try to pick it up as much as we can. But yeah, Sabrina said, gosh, Alan, your insights are amazing. Really, yeah, I'm really grateful. Thank you so much, Alan, for being here to be vulnerable and share your story, and also being so helpful in sharing your insight and sharing your wisdom. And it's so helpful for a lot of people. And then I think Russ was responding to someone that said, but our kids look so happy. Why? And Russ said it's fear of disappointing the abuser. Yeah, exactly. The kids are just coping. The kids are trying to survive. They have to behave. That's the expected behaviors of them. So they have to behave. This is survival instinct. Lorraine said, I saw the knack traits in my child and it's painful for me. Yeah, it is. It is really hard. I at some point felt like, oh my God, they're destroying my children, because these were beautiful, innocent, happy, really like wholesome children. And now they're being destroyed. And, it's devastating because you felt helpless. You saw the children being destroyed and you can't do anything about it. But it doesn't have to be the end, because you can fix a lot of it. Sometimes there are things that you can't fix completely, but children also grow out. They're quite resilient and they do learn and they do grow. So there's a lot of it you can help as well. So yeah, don't give up. Don't feel like that's the end of it. I know it's painful.
If I can add on to that, Petra,
Please.
with the technique that I use to get my kids back, it minimizes that damage immensely, because you're coming in and you're saying, I love you. And so although they're getting conditional love from one parent once a month or once a week or twice a week, whatever it is, you send a letter or a text or an email or whatever way you get to communicate, they're getting that unconditional love. And that's the key. The alienator wants you to shut out. They want you out, because then they have full control, and you're letting the child know that I'm still here and I'm not giving up on you. And just that in itself will lead to a much healthier life for your children after they come out of it.
Right. It's so important, right? Actually, all of us need the safe harbor to go back to. We all need that. And so for children to know that you are the rock, no matter what, no matter anything that they throw at you, if you still that foundation of love, that you're there for them, and they know that you're the safe parent that they can go back to anytime. That's why they behave this way. And unfortunately, they have to behave this way because that's the only way to survive. So yeah, you have to be there to be that foundation and that rock for them. And that's so important, because yeah, then that will help them recover and rebuild and healing and all that. It's so important. And like I said, so with my father, even though he passed, he's still the foundation that helped me heal today. It's still struggling, still challenging, by the way, because despite everything, I still grieving for losing my mother, to still, despite all the abuse that I suffer, despite everything. And at the end of it, she's the one that then abandoned me when I confronted her about alienation. She turned and abandoned me. But despite all of that, I'm still grieving for losing a mother, because you're still the child. You still need your parents. So the only thing that's saving me is my father, even though he has gone. But everything that he left for me, that's what it is. So it's so important for you to be there for your children while you can today. So Mara said, usually because they have to learn to dissociate from their pain, it's their only way to survive. I think Sabrina is talking about the children's behavior, and that's very true. Deb said being materialistic is very well-known trait of the knack. And yeah, actually, I think it's pretty common. Yeah, they become, because their sense of love and relationship, right, is not built on true love. So really, instead of building on the true emotional or whatever the important foundation of a relationship should be, it's built on other stuff, right? So stuff are materialistic things. And so I used to actually fell for that trick, is that the children used to come and would say things like, for example, because I'm not materialistic at all. So I was living, so when I left the Alienators, I actually left the house that I bought. So I walk away with nothing. I left the house. So the children get to stay in their familiar home with the Alienator in this beautiful big 2-story home. And I end up essentially homeless. I mean, like I rented a bedroom, and then slowly and eventually I bought a house, but it was a single story house. And children used to come over and said, oh, I don't like it here because it's single story. And I used to think that, oh, if I can just buy a 2-story house, that would fix it. You don't realize that the problem has nothing to do with that. That's just an excuse, right? So then eventually I bought the 2-story house, much bigger house, much newer. Like, that doesn't fix it. You have to realize that that's just an excuse. So don't let any of that impact you. Because if you finally, like when I finally understand it and I finally go into the root of it and, learn and grow and be stronger and set my boundary and fight back, that's when, then it didn't matter. It's not about the house. It's not about the money. It's not about any of those things. So, don't let that affect you, definitely. Sabrina said, yes, sincerely living well, it can't be fake. Yes, you definitely have to be truly dig deep and self-care and be okay, and then live well and truly happy. Because this is the thing, the alienators have painted a picture of you to your children, and that picture is ugly. That picture is that you are depressed, that you are emotional, unstable, that you are not successful, or that you are, like with Alan case, he was stupid, like all these ugly things. So take an inventory of that picture. It's very important that you take that inventory, because you really need to truly understand if there's any grain of truth, then fix it. Because sometimes there's something that may be true, because we are human, we are not perfect. So if there's something that is true, then try to fix it yourself. But if something that's not true, then you need to genuinely live your life and show and demonstrate that you are completely opposite to what the alienator is trying to portray you as. So it's really important, like truly living well, don't fake it. Lauren said, living well is the best revenge. Yes. Victoria said, thank you so much, Alan, for sharing your story. Thank you, Alan. Yes, definitely. Maura said, I am so very incredibly grateful for you, Petra and Alan, for this forum today. Thank you so much, Maura. And Lauren said, yes, thank you, Alan. Colin said, this is an excellent presentation. Thank you, Alan and Petra. Mariska said, in my case, the school has perpetrated the alienation. They have gone to unbelievable lengths. Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that have taken on as their vendetta, unfortunately, even though they're an outsider, and then just really destroy the situation. And we do have different conversation where we talk about how to deal with those. But yeah, I definitely relate to how you feel, and I understand it. Okay, I think we're gonna wrap it up now, because we have more than 100 comments left that I haven't even got a chance to scroll past. I apologize that we can't cover it today, but I'm gonna show the link of this to Alan, and then both Alan and I are gonna try our best to go back and respond as much as we can. But yes, thank you so much for being here. Please subscribe to our mailing list on victimtohero.com website. If you can, please support us on Patreon, buy us a coffee or something. It can help a lot, because all of this is available for you for free. And I'm really working more than full time on this. I don't have any other way of supporting myself but doing this, and I'm not charging anybody anything. So really, please, if you could support us in any way, and then even without money, you can support us by liking this video and sharing this and spread the word. Please help us with doing that. And then I want to mention a few other campaigns that we are doing. One is the heart campaign, which is called the Boundless Love Art Installation. Alan, have you sent your heart to me yet? Ooh.
Sorry?
Oh, okay. So we have, so I guess he doesn't know. So we have this art installation. It's a public awareness campaign, and it's called the Boundless Love Art Installation. And with that, we collect heart-shaped cutout from parents. So we ask parents to send us this. Sorry, let me see if I can share the address. So it sounds like Alan haven't sent it. So Alan, I'm gonna hold it to you to make sure, and for other parents too. So what we want is for anybody, really, parents or anybody that's supporting this car, to send us heart cutouts about 2 inches or 5 centimeters for New Zealand, for New Zealanders or Australians. It's 5 centimeters in dimension, heart shape. It can be any material, paper, cardboard, plastic. I have seen, crochet. I've seen fabric. I've seen glass. I've seen wood. Any material, heart shape. Any decoration. You can write messages. Please, if there's some location of where you're sending it from, because we want to show the world that this is coming from all around the world. No personal identifying information. So no photo, no full name, no phone number, no email address, none of those things. But you can write a message to your children, or a message to the world, or to yourself, or anything. Any kind of decoration, please mail it to myself, Petra Deeter, at P.O. Box 56116, Los Angeles, California, 90056. We wanted to collect 1,000 of these hearts to put together an art installation. And this art installation is 7 foot tall and 9 foot wide. And it's going to have these 1,000 hearts that hang on it. And we're going to have this installation to travel to as many places around the world as we can. We currently talking to a gallery. I don't know how to describe it, but an organization that have art gallery in 3 different cities in the US, but we're gonna try to expand it and really gonna try to get it to go around the world. So parents, please help us collect more hearts. We need 1,000. So please help us out with that. And that's one thing. Another things that we want is what was the other thing? The other campaign is called the Children First campaign. So Children First campaign is a flash mob campaign that we want to organize around the world. Right now we have 25 cities that have 25 cities that we're going to organize this flash mob. So, if you guys are in one of these 25 cities, please sign up to participate. So if you're not familiar with flash mob, Alan, have you seen a flash mob before? Are you familiar with that concept?
Yes, I'm familiar with that concept.
Yeah, tell us what it is.
Oh, so when you go and there's a big dance and someone starts off, no one knows, in a set area, and then and then someone else will start dancing. Obviously, it's all planned out. Everyone gets their little dance that they've got to do, and then they turn up and do it for the first time at a train station or wherever it is.
Yeah, exactly, right. And what do you think? It's fun, right?
Yeah, it is fun. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we wanted to do this flash mob campaign. So the thing about us is we want it to happen in multiple cities around the world. The same dance, the same song. And our campaign is called Children First. So the same hashtag. And our message is the same thing. It's like we have to put the children first. For parents to put the children first, for school teacher, for judges, for lawyers, or everyone need to put children first, because children cannot be caught in the middle of parental alienation. And so that's our message. So with this campaign, we want it to happen in around the world. Right now, we have volunteers so if you want to volunteer in your city, please let us know, because we're looking for more cities. But right now, we have volunteers in 25 cities who will organize this. You just need 5 people, at least 5 people, and we'll help sending more people to you. But like Alan was explaining, and if you don't know what flash mob is, look it up on YouTube. It's really fun. It's sort of like, you go to a crowded place, let's say a mall or somewhere, really a lot of people walking around, going about their day. Suddenly, a group of people break out into a dance. right? And so it catch a lot of attention, and that's the point, is we want to catch people attention because this is a public awareness campaign, and we wanted it to come across as a positive way. It's not a protest, it's not a rally, it's not anything sort of that has some kind of stigma or negative messaging. We want it to go a different way. We want to try to do things differently than what we have done in the last 50 years or so. So we want this to be a positive message campaign. And so we're gonna have, and we hope that when people tend to film this and share this on social media, and if they do this, they use the same hashtag children first, it will start popping up and showing them that the same flash mob is happening in another city. So people will start to be curious, and they will start looking it up, and they will get more information about what parental alienation is, and how to deal with that kind of things. So that's our goal. So please, if you can participate in Children First, we have a very simple dance. I'm not sure what these ding are. I apologize if I think there's this new thing that Facebook did for me, which is the star party. I honestly don't this is my first time using it. I don't really know what it is. So I apologize. I'm gonna look into it next time. So these are the dings, I think. And thank yous for people that sending the star. I'm grateful for that. So thank you. So anyway, so we have those two campaigns, and then like I said, the next event I think we have is an event where we're gonna talk about how to build future communication with your children. And then we also have a bunch of other events that plan out. So look out on our event tab on our Facebook page, and also join our mailing list. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much, Alan. Really, I'm so grateful for you for being here, being so open, and really sharing so much. Really, thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful, wonderful time. I see you guys again real soon.